Hey, it's Bernard Nomberg with the Nomberg Law Firm in Birmingham, and I wanted to talk about the gig economy, what it's about, and how does workers' compensation fit into that picture. And over the last few decades, how people live and work and spend their money has changed so dramatically, and people are so hyper connected. It allows in the economy for different types of jobs and things that change the economy because it's the way people are changing how they're spending their money. And a gig, of course, is referring to a temporary work assignment, and it makes it's the evolution of our society, I guess, if you will, in modern times. If you've never heard of that term, gig work, it's basically just those types of jobs out there for people to work in an independent way or a part-time way. Think of a driver for Lyft or Uber. Locally we have Shipped, where they deal with your groceries. What about bike messengers or freelance copywriting? Those are all examples of gig jobs. And this has been, most of these types of temporary jobs have been around for decades. And there are three components, if you think about this, in the gig economy. The worker, the independent worker who signs up for the gig, the consumer who needs or is requested the product. In this, I'll give you a quick example, would be being picked up by a Uber driver to go from home to airport. And then the third is the company that connects the worker with the consumer. And other examples would be Etsy, Airbnb, TaskRabbit, those types of things. There's lots of advantages to being a gig worker. It's flexibility of your time. It allows you more independence and certain things like that. On the other hand, there are parts of that type of job that do not allow you to have some of the protections that you would have if you were an employee. Pension benefits, dental health, and other types of insurance, and workers' compensation in case of injury or death while performing the job. And the gig economy, the gig work is not going away. It's estimated that almost 55 to 60 million people currently work in gig type jobs currently. And that was almost 40% of the United States workforce, and those statistics are supposed to jump up to close to 50% of our workforce in the next 2 years. So what it means for people who are doing these types of jobs is they need to consider, how do you categorize or classify yourself? Either you're an independent contractor or you're an employee, as well as what protections do you have in the event that you're injured or, unfortunately, there's such a serious event as death. Well, if you're an employee, then you get those benefits typically that employers offer, which could be certain types of insurance coverages. If I'm looking for a gig type job and I want some of those protections, then you need to look at the employing entity to see what they offer, if anything, whether it's health insurance, workers' comp coverage, or general liability coverage that may protect you. There are certain types of insurances that the gig worker could also purchase. Make sure that the company you're working for, if they do offer those types of coverages, they are current and correct. And the same for yourself. If you're a gig worker, if you have those type of coverages, make sure that you keep those up to date. Additionally, many of these companies require the signing of some type of a contract that either specifically spells out that they're an employee or that they're not, they're an independent contractor. Make sure you look at those terms. There's many other factors here to be considered, but the gig economy and the gig type work are not going away. In fact, they're getting more and more, which is creating more and more legal issues out there. In fact, recently, drivers for Lyft and Uber went on strike in a certain part of the country in hopes to bringing about change because they have very little protections as independent contractors. There's some cases in California going on. But if you have questions or concerns about how the gig economy works in this sense and how it affects people who work for them, just give us a call. We can talk to you about what protections you may or may not have and see if there's anything that we can help answer for you. We can be reached at 205-930-6900. Nomberglaw.com is our website. If you like this video, please consider giving us a thumbs up. If you didn't, please tell us why. We'd love it if you'd subscribe to our channel as we add new videos every week. Additionally, we can be found on Twitter and Facebook.